Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stands. I'm back with Ben Foster. How you doing, Ben?
Lovely.
Didn't think you were going to be on this week.
Why?
But, I just thought end of season, but there we go.
No, not on the holidays yet. Even though I am lovely and brown, it is a garden and golf tan, that's all.
We were just talking about Ben, when he was at Manchester United, he never had a tan like that. So I was asking, was that just the Manchester weather? And he said, no, it's just because I was shitting myself all the time, out of my depth.
Constantly looking around going, what am I doing here? I don't belong here. What am I doing here?
Just a constant state of paleness. I feel sick. Alex, I feel sick. Well, I feel a bit sick, actually. Manchester United losing the FA Cup final, although it wasn't unexpected. I want to actually talk about, there's a story coming out this morning that Harry Maguire is thinking about staying at United, and I want to get into that mentality that you will know being a player, and the summer comes up and mentality of players. But there's one thing you were talking about just there. You said, I wouldn't mind talking about the FA Cup final. I mean, what was your general thought? But you also had an interesting thing on Rashford, which I think a lot of our viewers will actually agree with. Yeah. I feel with Rashford, he's had a good season, and I just don't think he looked fit at the weekend. There was a few times where he wasn't jumping for headers, and that's he's not the only one. I thought Eriksen was bad, Sancho was bad. Yeah. But what was your general thought on the FA Cup final, and what's your theory on Rashford, that he might be the star player, but he's not star player enough? Yeah.
Okay. So we'll talk about the FA Cup final first, then. I was just a little bit underwhelmed with it. I thought United tried. They huffed and they puffed and they worked. We spoke about this last week, didn't we? About what formation they might play, what team they might play. But the overriding feeling and hope, I suppose, was that they actually gave it a go. They went for it. And to be fair, they ran around and they did it properly and they put up a show and they put a bit of effort in. But you just knew what was coming. You just knew that they were going to lose a game. And I think the big thing for me was just looking at the mentality of it and what was written all over the Man United players' faces. And there were so many times where I could just see them and I just kept thinking, they know they're not as good as Man City. They know they're going to lose. And they almost I just felt like they knew it was inevitable. They were never, ever going to win that game.
That's a mentality problem, though, isn't it? Because we've seen FA Cup finals in our lifetime. I mean, I go back as far as Wimbledon against Liverpool in '88, and they definitely weren't good enough. They definitely weren't, but they never felt like they weren't good. They roughed them up, didn't they?
For sure, yeah.
That mentality seems to have died within this United side, that if they're not good enough, their heads drop. We've seen it at Anfield, we've seen it at the Emirates, we've seen it at the Etihad, we've seen it at St James's Park. They will, if they're not good enough, they'll just basically, we're not good enough.
But I think a lot of the Man City's dominance is down to the manager. I really do. I think if Pep Guardiola was manager of England, I think England will be genuinely winning stuff. Honestly, I genuinely believe I think they'll be winning stuff. So
Well, I think if I was managing England,
you could do a better. That's what you think anyway. Yeah. But I think do
you think Man United would be a better team with Pep?
Without doubt. Right. I think every team in the land, in the world, would be a better team because of Pep Guardiola. The way that he demands from his players. Take Jack Grealish. He is the most prime example of all of this, right? So he signs world record fee, £100 million. He comes into the Man City squad and the manager ain't picking him at first. No, you don't suit my system. You're not working hard enough. You're not getting back. You're not tracking back. You're not tackling. You're not sacrificing for the team, yeah? Great when you get the ball, but I want the rest of it as well. And it's taken him the best part of a year. But in this year, Jack Grealish has not only learned how to do that, he now knows the level. That's the bar. The bar is set there. And he won't drop below it because that's what Pep Guardiola demands. That's the minimum you give. And that is the beauty of Jack Grealish now. So every game, you know what you're going to get from him. He's going to work his socks off, but when he gets the ball, he's going to have ability and quality and he's going to make stuff happen. That is exactly what he's done to virtually every one of those Man City players.
Setting the bar and then not
setting the bar. He's set the bar so high now that people just won't drop below it. So even when they're like a 6 out of 10 like they were against Man United at the weekend, they still win games. That's the difference. Is right there. He's a wonder. But then, like I say, going on to the Marcus Rashford thing. So watching him on Saturday, I agree with you. I don't think he looked fully fit. I don't know whether he is fully fit or not, but either way, he didn't look like he was fully at the races. No. Considering this is an FA Cup final, against your bitter rivals, I want to see you sort of scrapping and chasing and that look of, come on, boys, let's get something going here. Do you know what I mean? Like trying to G everybody up. And I just didn't see it from him. Like, whereas you look at the Man City players and there were times where they would lose their heads a bit, Man City would, you know. You've got Bernardo Silva running around kicking people, yeah?
Yeah.
That's the sort of thing
I want to see. That's what impressed me about City is that they've got that Every
nastiness
player is nasty, and that comes from aggression, that comes from passion. Half-time, Bruno's trying to hear what Bernardo
That's
Silva's
what I'm saying. He pushes him off, pushes him away.
Grealish pushed Rashford away.
I love it.
You think, that's shithousery, but that's what it is.
Mate, that is pure winning. But everybody else sees that on your team and goes, do you know what? He's 5'8" and he's doing that.
You talk about coaching, but that's the Wimbledon thing. Like, it's one thing having a team that's constructed with an open checkbook and the best manager in the world. But when they've got that effort level as well, United should. That's not an excuse.
No,
United
everyone should have that.
4 or 5 players that didn't have that on Saturday.
Yeah.
And like Rashford, like at the end of the game, he got some credit because he was lifting Garnacho and Bedcore stuff. But then a lot of people were saying, you're lifting him up like you've had a good game. You've had a good game yourself, mate. Like, and look, I don't think Rashford was the worst player on the pitch by a long way. But you've got a theory that might be something to keep an eye on next season, because Rashford is now the player of the year, the players' player of the year.
Yeah.
But where does he rank when you look at Man City's best player or Liverpool's best player, which is probably Salah, De Bruyne? You know, if
Arsenal.
Rashford's...
Look at Arsenal's team.
Yeah, Odegaard, maybe Saka.
Yeah.
Is Rashford good enough as the superstar of Man United?
I don't think he is. I really don't. I think if you look at, like you say, the teams that you've mentioned there, they've got absolute winners, like ballers, winners, yeah? I saw in the paper today something about he wants a new contract as well. And if he's going to get a new contract, how much do you think that's going to be a week? Genuinely, 350? 300, 350? It's a ridiculous amount of money. That's on a par with someone like a Kevin De Bruyne, yeah? When you've got somebody like Kevin De Bruyne or Erling Haaland, yeah, they earn their money. They literally earn their money. They will win you games single-handedly, and they will do it with the team as well. I just think that Man United now are so heavily invested into Marcus Rashford that he is their poster boy, he's the pin-up boy, and it's almost like they've just got to keep going with it now. But I don't think, like you say though, he would get into an Arsenal team, and I don't think he'd get into a Man City team, for sure. I
really like Rashford. What would you do though? Because I don't think you're in the minority. I think there's a lot of people who will agree with that. I mean, there are people out there who call him Trashford, which is ridiculous. I think he's a really good player.
Oh, he's a fantastic player for sure.
But what you're saying is United are sort of building their team around him. They're building their future around him. And I sort of do get on board with that, because I'm like, well, I think Rashford's better if he has got, you know, a couple of other players to take the weight off him, whether it is a Harry Kane and a, you know, Garnacho's coming through. What would you do? Would you just not give him the contract?
No.
Would it just be a changing of the role? You're not the star man.
You have to, but how do you do that? How do you say?
He is the star man. He is the brand.
How now do you say to Marcus Rashford, you're not the star man? He's already that guy. He's already that guy. But I agree that, I know I've been saying this all season, but you get Harry Kane on board, and I think what it would do is
elevate.
It would elevate Marcus Rashford for sure. He knows he hasn't got to worry about. He's still going to score you goals, he will, but he knows that he's got somebody up top that can do that for him anyway. But I just think a lot of this has to come down to the manager, and he has to demand more from these players. He has to demand them to be, not only they're fantastic players and he's got them playing in a great system, but he has to demand that they become winners now, and he has to show it on the pitch, and they have to show it in their faces as well. There was not enough nastiness for me on Saturday. They kind of rolled over really and let Man City just, even though they were bang average, they just let Man City do what they wanted to do.
I don't think he can teach it. I think he's got to buy it now, because I think that even before he came in, some of these players have bottled it and dropped the ball before.
Yeah.
But if you look at this season, let's go to Anfield in, was it March, 7-0. That week after, this will never happen again. This will never happen again. It happened again at St James's Park a few weeks later, and it sort of happened again at Wembley.
Yeah.
So for me, some of the, you know it from school. Some people are good at maths, some people are good at English.
Yeah.
Like, these players aren't good with mentality. If you could teach it, there'd be hundreds of people playing up front for Man United. You could teach it.
Jadon Sancho, another prime example. You look at his body language on Saturday. Look at his facial expressions, and exactly that. Yeah. So look at Jadon Sancho. 80 million quid. He's on again, couple $100,000 a week, right? And it's almost like they've lost that hunger, lost that little bit of nastiness and bite, because they don't need to have it anymore.
Maybe they never had it.
Maybe they never had it, but if any of those Man City players are on that sort of wage, they are scrapping and fighting and biting alongside being a supremely talented athlete. But I agree with you there, though, like you say about Garnacho. I thought when he came on, he looked like he didn't care about who he was playing for or who he was playing against. He just wanted to get the ball and he wanted to make something happen. And that is the sort of players you need all over the place. I'm not saying Garnacho is going to be the saviour, and he's still got a long way to go and a lot more things to improve on. But he has at least got that little bit of nastiness and that bite to want to go, no, come on, let's start doing something here.
Well, I was going to ask you about this because there's a story today coming out from The Athletic that Harry Maguire doesn't see his future away from Manchester United, but maybe if Southgate says your England place is in jeopardy, you might have to readdress that. I mean, look, I don't want to go in on Maguire because there's probably a few players like that at United. McTominay might be about to do the same. Fred, there might be a few players to do that. What is that mentality, Ben? Because as a player yourself, you've been around teams in the summer. You'll have seen players that, you know, they've not had a good season. Harry Maguire's captain of the team, didn't get on the pitch for a minute. He's fourth choice centre-back. Martinez is injured. Lindelof's playing a game. How can he sit there on 200 grand a week?
That's how.
How can he sit there?
That's exactly how he sits there.
And go, I'm happy to stay at Man United. Yeah. Surely, as a professional footballer, you're banging on the door saying, I want to play, and if I'm not playing, I'm going to go. Is it really that simple that these players are just... And it goes back to mentality again. If you've got players like that who are just happy to be fourth choice centre-back, as long as they're getting picked for England, surely that you don't get players like that.
Yeah, you do. You get loads of players like that. You get some players who are banging on the door and saying, I want to play. And then if the manager says, listen, you're not in my plans, they'll say, that's fine. I understand that. I want to go then. I want to go and sign for somebody else and play. But the problem that you got is when you play for Man United and you're someone like Harry Maguire and you've been bought for 80 million quid, you're sitting on 200 grand a week, yeah? But not only that, you're sitting on all the trappings that come with being a Man United player, yeah? He will be getting sponsorship deals, endorsement deals, all this kind of stuff. Like the glamour of just being represented by Manchester United. It's everything about it. It's just massive, absolutely massive.
Nothing to prove.
Nothing to. You're golden. You're cooking. He's got what, another year left, 2 years left on his contract.
He's got at least two.
Two. So he's, you know what I mean. If you think 200 grand a week, that's 5 mil a year. 10 mil with endorsements, probably worth 15 million quid for him by being at Man United for the next 2 years. So he can. Him and his agent might be sitting there and go, right, listen, you've got 15 million quid guaranteed if you stay at Man United for the next 2 years. That sets you up for life, yeah? You're cooking. Or you could go and sign for another team. You might match your wages. Yeah, they might get a bit less. But you're going to have to be called on every single match day and you're going to have to scrap and work and what do you want to do? And
so it's a mentality.
It's a mentality thing.
I mean, it's unfair to just pin it all on Maguire because there will be other United players.
There's loads of there's players up and down the Premier League, Mark. I promise you. There's not. Man United will have half a dozen of them. Everton, Leicester. You keep naming teams, yeah. Some will have more than others. I guarantee you.
Man City
won't have any.
And that's surely the lesson for United.
Exactly that, yeah.
You know, even if you take the financial hit, you've got to get rid of these players because they're in the dressing room. They're on the plane. They're on the coach. Their mentality of, you know, and it's... You know,
other players see it and they think, that
might be socialising with him.
That looks comfy, that does.
Yeah, it's got to go.
Well, you've got to think, there is a lot of pressure attached to playing for Man United. I can tell you firsthand on this one, there's an awful lot of pressure attached to it. And when the team aren't doing particularly well and you're not playing, it's almost like... Well, thank God I didn't play in that one. Honestly, thank God I didn't play in that one. Yeah, it's not my fault.
Let's go out for a meal tonight. Let's go on holiday.
Exactly. You know? I can't be blamed for this one at least. Like my hands are clean. Do you know what I mean?
It gets worse then, doesn't it? Because they're picking up their money and they're going, well, I can't get blamed. And
exactly.
It's terrifying. And I think there's a few players like that with United. So surely that just comes down to the manager having the backing of the board to pull him in and say, you're not part of my plans.
You've got to go.
This is the package. Yeah. We'll pay half your wages. They're going to pay the rest. You're out.
Yeah, that's exactly what you need. You need somebody like that who's really on top of stuff. And
which we haven't
got. But again, you know, Man United, are they the sort of club who's going to let them do that? I guarantee you Man City are. Man City would let Pep just do whatever he wants, basically.
Barcelona would. They've written contracts.
Even Arteta. Look at Arteta, what he's done with Aubameyang at Arsenal.
He was going to do it with Xhaka this summer.
He was a club captain and he turned up late and he went, no, he's gone. You're out of my team. You can train with the reserves, but then you're out. You're gone as soon as we can find a buyer for you. Do you know what I mean? Simple as that. So you have to have a strong main guy at the head of it. And is Ten Hag that guy yet? I don't know. Maybe he needs to win a few more things before he gets a bit more power.
I don't even, to be honest, when you think about it, I don't even really blame the Maguires and everyone else like that because they're just playing the game.
Yeah, for sure.
Actually, it's how you run the thing.
Yeah,
if you've got somebody who's coasting in your workforce, it's your job to remove them.
Yeah.
If you let them get away with it, they get away with it.
Well, if you let it be like that from the start, then it's your own fault from the very start, you know what I mean? But you have to change it.
And it all breeds back to mentality. You know, you look at that mentality of United against Man City and it all comes back to this. For years, we keep the deadwood who are happy just to sit coasting. I mean, I think it's terrible that if that story's true, the only reason that he might think about leaving is losing his England squad. Only for Manchester United.
I know, that's,
What would you do, just finally, if I said, right, I'm the CEO of United, I've got the money, you can have any amount of money you want realistically, but you're only buying 3. Because I think United needs 6. So what would if I said 3 positions, who do you want? what we're getting?
I want Harry Kane.
Harry Kane, yeah.
But I think Harry Kane's the first one, right? I think if Harry Kane comes on board, every other player that might possibly be available or kind of have an inclination to go, oh, that might look nice, you know what I mean? I think you get him into that team, and now Benzema has just left Real Madrid, and it looks like Real Madrid might be making a bid for him.
Pushing him there, won't they?
But that's what I'm saying. So, again, have Man United missed the boat? They could have got something done here, maybe in January. They could have done it a couple of months ago or whatever. You never know. But I do think that's the important one. I do think getting that big boy, and not Osimhen either, because I don't think Osimhen's as attractive as Harry Kane for other players.
Right.
Other players see Harry Kane there and they go, oh, I might have a little piece of that. Yeah. And then I think you need a couple strong midfielders. I think you need some real dirty doggers. Like you look at Rodri for Man City. Look how sort of effortless he goes about the place and just does it properly. I don't think Man United have got that. They tried it with Fred. It just don't work. It's not the same. You know what I mean? You need somebody with a bit of stature, a bit of power. Mate, I could just go.
Declan Rice, maybe.
Declan Rice would be lovely. That would fill that role absolutely fantastically. He would be, but again,
Casida at Brighton.
But if you're paying 100 mil for Harry Kane, you're paying more than that for Declan Rice.
I've just said I've got the money. Just tell me the three.
Unlimited money, yeah.
Well, realistically, I'll see what I can do. I'll get that Maguire out.
No, I think Caicedo would be brilliant, but I think Declan Rice would suit it better.
Yeah.
I like Declan Rice.
He's a leader as well.
He's a leader. He's a winner, and he's.
Well, that's the thing about Kane and Rice as well. You talk about mentality.
Yeah.
All right. They've not won anything for England, and people will say they've not won anything in their careers, but it's different when you're playing for Spurs and West Ham to just being a Man United player, isn't it?
Oh, mate, can you imagine them two at Man United? Like, you don't even need any more than that, honestly. I bet you them two would elevate it so massively. They are such winners. Like I say, West Ham, they're not winning stuff, but you can just tell their mentality, their style of players to want to win. It's that aggression. It's wanting to get on the ball and almost like elbow somebody out of the way and go, no, it's mine. Harry Kane will do whatever he can to try and score goals. Yeah. Just them two alone would be incredible.
Well, loads of people have said to me, like who've seen Rice, that because he plays for West Ham, he plays restrictive.
Yeah.
When he goes to an Arsenal or a Man United, you'll see a very different player because he'll be able to be more expressive. And actually, he's meant to be quite.
He'll be fantastic. He's a fantastic player. Even if he just does what he's been doing for West Ham, he'll be incredible. Mason Mount, I think, will be a decent signing. I'm happy with Mason Mount. To be fair, I think he is. He would suit Man United really well. I think you can say what you want about his footballing ability, but he's obviously a top player. But I think it's just his mentality that impresses me more than anything. Is again his will to want to win and to fight and to get on the ball and do a bit. I do. I really like the look of that signing.
There you go. All English. Brexit.
But that's how mad is that though? Like if you could say you could sign 3 players, and don't get me wrong, there'll be Man United fans up and down the country that play champ man, and there's this little gem here and there's this little gem there in this part of the world.
But you're not expected to know those.
Tried and tested players, mate. Tried and tested players, right? There's so much to be said for it. There's so much to be said for tried and tested players. Do you want to talk about the David De Gea second goal quickly?
No.
You don't want to talk about it? Can I give you my thoughts on it?
Well, only because I'll have to retract.
Why?
Well, let me just say, on Saturday, I said that I didn't think he was massively at fault for it because Watto told me that you can't react until the ball has gone past.
The last defender.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people on Saturday were blaming him because of how far the ball travelled.
Yeah.
Actually, that's not the reason he made a mistake.
OK, so, again, it's not necessarily a mistake, but he can do better. And I think top goalie saves that, I really do, because what David De Gea didn't do was move his feet. So when the shot comes in, the volley, and it's not the strongest volley in the world, by the way.
No, he sort of scuffed it.
And don't get me wrong, it has to come through bodies to get there, but what David De Gea has to do better is move his feet. He has to get himself into a position where he knows that if it does possibly go past that last defender, Varane, then he has to be in a position to be able to save it. And he didn't do that. As soon as the ball was struck, he kept watching it, and then his body just fell. He fell his body so that when it does come past Varane, he can't push off anymore because he's already moving, his body's already moving down, and his power at range, so that bit there, that strong arm, it's minimal because he's diving backwards almost. So when he's falling, it looks like he doesn't really attempt to go for it. It's because he can't. He's got no power left in his arm. He's got no push, no nothing.
So it's all about feet position.
But it's all about his footwork to start with. So as soon as that shot gets kicked off by Gundogan, he has to start, even if it's a step, one step, I promise you, one step out to the diagonal a little bit, means he can save it, because then he can push off, he can move, he's a bit more manoeuvrable. But just falling over like he did, it just looks really bad because the ball doesn't go in with massive pace. It is in the corner for sure. A top goalie saves it though.
As a goalkeeper, you know you've made the mistake then. Is that all on you, or are you looking at people not marking Gundogan, the defenders not blocking it?
All over it.
It's not, like you say, it's not blasted it. It's sort of bounced through 2 players, no one's marking it.
The whole thing's a shambles, mate. Gundogan cannot be stood on the edge of the 18-yard box able to get...
I think De Bruyne just pings it to the edge of the box, doesn't it?
There's no way on this earth he can just be stood there, yeah, unmarked, being able to get a volley off. That is shambolic to start with. So that's the first thing, right? So that's the first thing the manager will look at and go, who's supposed to be marking on the edge of the box? Somebody's supposed to be marking that, by the way, yeah? There's no free people in this. It doesn't work like that.
Someone said it's zonal. You wouldn't be zonal, would you?
Either way, somebody has to be closer to it than that, yeah? Or even if you play zonal, semi-zonal, I don't care what it is, somebody...
And he's their best player.
Somebody...
scored a bloody volley from the edge of the... Hello! I just scored a volley in the first
so just
half.
give me another freebie, it's fine, right? So somebody has to be close enough to be able to get to that so that he can't just get his volley off, right? Then once he's got the volley... I don't like the way Varane's just sort of doing that, but he twists at the same time. He twists, yeah?
Stupid to get your hand behind
instead of just like keeping your arms down and moving your feet or moving your body to be able to get into it, even if you take one in the face, take one in the frickin' face, yeah? It's not going to kill you. And then you've got David Hay behind it with a lack of footwork, the lack of manoeuvrability, no strength at range. It's just a shambles of a goal to give away. In an FA Cup final, can that be the goal that decides whether you win it or lose it? It's unforgivable.
And the funny thing is, well, he didn't hit it clear.
No.
At the end of the day, he's unmarked. Imagine if he had hit it clear.
He's hit it from a standing start, yeah, and it's almost shin rolled a little bit, and it's just gone through. Oh, it's just painful.
It is. It's not a good goal to concede, but the reality is he's so unmarked, and a player of that quality,
he'll find the goal.
He'll probably be unhappy that he didn't hit it clean anyway.
He'll hit the target. It's as simple as that. And once you hit the target, you're asking for trouble.
We'll see what happens next year with the goalkeeper. A lot of people were pinning it all on him at the weekend, which I think's...
No, you definitely... Again,
it's
not a mistake, but I think he can do better, and I think he'll know he can do better as well.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Ben, for popping on.
Absolute pleasure.
Appreciate it. Soccer Aid for you on Sunday?
Soccer Aid for me on Sunday, and then I'm flying off on holiday after that for a nice little break. But Soccer Aid will be good. The weather looks absolutely banging as well. Apparently, the weekend it's going to be 28, 30 degrees. Oh,
yeah, it is going to be really hot.
But in Manchester, it'll probably be raining, though. It's fine.
There we go. Legend. Thanks for coming on, Ben.
Pleasure, mate.
Smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe. We'll speak to you all a bit later.